Hey guys, this is Chandler with Chan's Logic. I wanted to do a video about our intro session and what our first day experience looks like and kind of the process we go through. I put a video out of what our entire intake process looks like from the time someone walks through our door till they're a full-fledged member of our group classes, and it got a lot of questions, pretty good response, and I kind of just wanted to follow up and break it up into pieces to show everybody exactly how we do it and what it looks like. So when we bring people into our one-on-one intro session, you can call it a consult, you can call it an assessment. I think there's about 57,000 different names for it, but the big thing is it's one-on-one, by appointment only, and it's your one opportunity to understand who the person is, and it's your opportunity to develop some rapport with them before you actually invite them in to train with you. So when we do it, we bring them into a room. I'm sitting in our consult room right now. The idea behind our consult room is we want people to walk in and feel really comfortable. So we don't want people to walk in and see a big giant oak desk, and we don't want them to see just a bunch of corporate looking stuff because it puts them on their heels a little bit. They walk in, they feel like they're in a sales transaction, and it puts them immediately into a defensive position. So when they walk into our consult room, we actually want them to sit down on the couch, we want them to feel comfortable, and we want to be sitting in a chair that you can't see that's right next to it, but in a position that's not directly in front of them, so it doesn't feel like we're a salesperson. The idea is it's less of a sales room, less of a consult room, and more of what you could consider like a therapy room. Something you would go in when you're talking to a therapist or someone like that, where you're going to reveal your emotional pains and what's going on in your life. So the way our session starts, people will walk in. Our first thing we want to do is we want to learn about the person. So who they are, what they do, what their experiences are, their thoughts, a lot of that kind of stuff, so we can get them talking and we can start to work to pull out what their pains are. And the idea behind pains is it's a couple things we need to understand. We need to understand why they're here. So what brought them to you? They're going to tell you things like, I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight isn't good enough. We really need to understand why they want to lose weight. So the answer to that would be, well, it's great that you want to lose weight. That's an awesome goal. A lot of people have that goal, but why do you want to lose weight? What makes you feel this way that you need to lose the weight? From that, you're going to start pulling out their emotional pains. So once you kind of work into it, you dig deep enough, they're going to start to reveal to you what's really bothering them. I have confidence issues. I feel embarrassed. I can't keep up with my kids. And you're just going to get a lot of things dumped onto you right there. And that's the point to where you've really pulled out what's actually going on with them. And that's what we want to find out. And we're doing this because we want to be able to make a solid, strong, ethical decision as to whether or not it makes sense to move them into your gym and whether or not it makes sense to prescribe what you're doing to them. The next thing, as we get pain, you're going to start to understand their problems. So I need to lose weight because I'm embarrassed when people see me in a bikini. That is a big problem. That's a confidence issue. It's something I'm sure they're thinking about all the time, and it's going to be a really, really bothersome occurrence. So from that, we can start pulling out their needs. So they need that. They need to get better. They're going to get mental health based off that. They're going to get physical health based off that. They're going to feel like everybody around them thinks better of them. It's just a lot of these feelings that come out tell us that they actually need our services, and they're not just here for a bikini body boot camp. They're not just here to stay for a couple months and then dip out. Our goal is to keep people for a long time. We want this model where they come in, they stay with us for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and the only reason they leave is because they move away or something like that happens, but not because of a financial reason or because they don't want to be there anymore. Big thing I talked about earlier, in our consult, it 100% needs to be by appointment only. If someone comes in and they want to do a session right there, you tell them, hey, I don't have time on my schedule, but let's book you for an appointment tomorrow. It shows that you're not begging them to come in, that you don't necessarily need them to come in, and that you're going to interview them to actually come in and train with you. And what this does is it puts you on the know. It takes you outside the typical sales conversation and puts you in a position to where the client thinks that you are actually there for them, which you are, and it pulls you away from the used car salesman mentality and into the I actually care for you and about you, and I want to help you and see if we're a good fit. So the other thing, obviously, you have to listen to them. If you don't listen, you're not going to get anywhere. If they're talking and you're daydreaming about what you're going to eat for lunch, you're not doing it right. You really need to understand what they're saying. You should be writing notes about what they're saying, and you should be responding to what they're saying. Show that you actually care in this appointment. After we get through a lot of these needs and pains and wants, we're going to make a decision as to whether or not we think we're a good fit. It's okay to tell people at the end of this, I want you to give me a yes or a no. This is critical because it eliminates the idea that they can go home and think about it, which is usually just a polite way of saying, I don't want to do this, but I don't want to hurt your feelings. So you can tell people, hey, at the end of this, give me a yes or a no. Either way is not going to hurt my feelings, but I think it's going to be the best option moving forward if we both know where we're at. It actually makes people feel a lot more comfortable with you. They don't feel like they're letting you down if they do say no, and then you don't have to chase them for follow-ups for several months and not get any response. So when we start talking about budget, you're going to talk to them about the cost of your programs. So for us, they go into a 3-session assessment, and then they go into our fundamentals program. So we're going to tell them, hey, I'd like to invite you to our 3-session assessment. The cost of this assessment is, for us, it's our personal training rate times 3, so it's $210. And then we're going to transition to fundamentals after that if it still makes sense to work together and you like the way I coach and I like the way you come in as an athlete and a client and we mesh well together. And so at that point you tell them fundamentals after the 3 session is going to cost you between whatever your cost is. Ours would be around $700 to about $1,400 depending on how many sessions are prescribed to them in their 3-session assessment. After that, you're going to ask them, is that within your budget? You're going to get some hesitation, you might get some pushback, you're going to respond and go back and forth based off what they say, but you're going to be open and clear with how you respond to them, and you're not going to kind of sneak around any pricing talk. This isn't getting around pricing talking, this is talking directly to them about what you charge and why you do it that way. So what I said, like a ballpark, when we get into fundamentals, it's this to this, because we don't necessarily know what it's going to be. You can tell them I will know exactly what it's going to be at the end of our 3-session assessment. And also at the end of our 3 session, I'm going to know whether or not I can actually help you moving forward. Next, once you finish this, you're going to get the yes. Most people that we come in contact with do go over to the 3-session assessment, and then everybody converts to fundamentals. We don't necessarily have any kind of conversion problems at that point. The big thing is just getting them there with the right steps. So at the end of this, you're going to schedule their next session. You never want someone to walk out the door without 1, paying for the sessions that they're going to come up on, and 2, not scheduling their next session. If they don't pay and they don't schedule, there's going to be a couple things that might happen. They might never come back because they get too busy or they weren't quite committed when they left. But if they have some money committed to it and they have a session scheduled, they're going to feel like they're obligated to come into the next one, and they'll actually come in and talk to you if they do have any kind of buyer's remorse issues. After that, I'll follow up with a thank you text or a thank you email or a handwritten letter when they graduate the 3-session or the fundamentals program. But it's important that you kind of remind them that they have an appointment and that you just follow up with them and ask them how they're feeling. A couple things we're not doing on this intro is we're not going to do any kind of workout. We're not going to do any kind of tour of the gym. They're going to go into our private consultation room and we're going to talk. That's pretty much what this is all about. The big idea behind this is we need to understand their wants, their needs, their pains, and we're going to dig in to find what their emotional pathways are. And if we can understand that, then we can make a good decision as to whether or not it makes sense to move forward. The big thing to not get stuck on is trying to make everybody fit into your program. You're going to find people that don't necessarily fit, and it's okay to tell them that we're not a good fit, but you might try XXX down the road, which is huge because it shows the client that you are actually there, you do care about them, and your goal is to make sure it is actually a good fit. Thanks for watching. If you guys have questions about our intro, our consult, or anything like that, post it in the comments, or you can email me at chandler@stoneagefuel.com.